What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Real Husbands of CofC. I'm Cardell, and with me today, I got some special guests. James and Josh aren't on with us, but they are still husbands and they are still married. But just to go down the line real quick of who we got up here.
So yeah, what's up, y'all? Good to see y'all again. Will graduated 2014 CofC. Just so far, living life, working, businesses on the move, Sense Clothing Co. Check us out. Good Sense Marketing, need some marketing, holla at us. And just trying to be productive, Black person society, man. Pretty much it.
We out here. Sense Clothing just dropped a new line, bro.
Keep moving, man. Keep moving.
I'm about to cop something, please. I'm gonna drop the link right here, so that and we gonna keep moving. Another guest, y'all seen him before, Denzell Moton.
Yeah, well, right now I'm getting ready for a wedding, so that's what it's like right now. But up in Newark, man, I'm telling you, if you don't have to visit, I would not recommend it. But we're gonna make the best out of it. What's going on, y'all? Denzell Moton, class of 2014 from the glorious city of Aiken, South Carolina. Will, if you say something, I'm gonna fight you. Look, since graduating CofC, I've just been a professional student. But most recently, they allowed me to practice law. So I handle personal injury matters on 4 states: Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina. So if you ever hurt, give me a shout. Love to take care of you. And you can follow me on my IG at Attorney Denzell, where I drop Footwear Fridays, which is a cool little short every Friday where we merge sneaker culture with legal topics in the legal industry. So if you have questions or concerns about either of those areas, check it out. If you want to see how they interact, check that out too. But appreciate Cardell for having me back on, man. I always love being with the Real Husbands of CofC.
Yeah. You better be careful what you say about Newark, man. They got some thugs up there.
Look, everything shuts down quick around here, so I believe it.
I got family in Newark. Shouts out to the rights. We got another guest here today, his first appearance. Coming to us again, another CofC alum. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, drop your credentials. I'm gonna pass it over to you, Jimmy Freeman.
All right, so my first time here, so if I don't hit something, just question it, I'll answer it. Graduating class of 2011. Teaching the whole time, so I've been teaching for the last 10 years. I'm also an artist, so artist by passion, teacher by trade. I do commissions, and father of 2, husband of 1. So,
I hope so.
As far as we know.
I hope so. Living double lives out here.
Right.
Now let me introduce my other life. Terriers, like taking long walks on the beach with my socks on. No, but yeah, we glad to have you here, Jimmy. And just a consensus on the everybody's from CofC. Yep. We all from CofC, and we all married. That makes us Real Husbands of CofC. So, you know what I'm saying? We got real husbands all over the world. He said, 2 of y'all in Georgia.
Yeah, in the A.
Georgia, be careful. Delta variant is running rampant, and Georgia don't wear masks, I heard.
Georgia does not at all.
Georgia win elections, but they don't wear masks.
Yeah. That's why they win, because they didn't have the mask on.
Yeah.
The mask on, they wouldn't have been able to vote. You see what I'm saying? So they had take the mask off. And they listen to Future, they said mask off.
Mask off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. You talking about me earlier? That one needs some help, bro.
And Jimmy, you local, right here.
Yeah, born and raised in Charleston, so I'm right here in Goose Creek now.
Uptown.
Right up the road. So, man, let me just, I like to throw this disclaimer out there so people don't blame us for nothing. We are not marriage experts giving marriage advice. This is our opinions, just strictly for your entertainment. So if you take what we say and something happens in your marriage that didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, that ain't my fault.
My fault.
Check your tone.
Don't call me, because I'm not a family lawyer. All right, get that out there.
I ain't gonna pick up, so don't call me.
But just I just jumping into the topic, man. I saw a video just a snippet of it. I probably should have watched the whole thing, but just the clip of the video that I saw, it kind of, sparked something in me that I didn't truly agree with, but I wanted to get y'all's take on it. Just the snippet I saw. Lady having a discussion, it looked like a podcast. She was having a discussion with some other ladies, and she said, when people ask her about marriage, she usually kind of respond, how you prepare for that. And let me ask this before I jump into it. How do you prepare for marriage? Is there, now that you're married, and I've been married I'm coming up on 4 years now. Denzell, you 2 years?
Going on 3, yeah, be 3 in December.
3. Beeman, you almost 2 years?
2 and February? No, what? Wow. Going on 2 years in February coming up.
Wow, right, wow. Clean that up, bro. Clean that up,
bro. I know the date.
Clean that up.
I know the date.
That's the important part.
Jimmy, you've been married for
8 years.
8 years. Okay. Coming up, you probably coming up on 9. So being married, like, was there a phase or a stage where, I got to start getting myself prepared for marriage? Like, did that ever cross your mind? And then when you got married, did you feel like you were prepared to be married?
No, there's no way to get prepared. I mean, because once you start living together, things change. But once you start living together and you're married, things change even more. So it's that shared space. It's that be able to have your own creative space, and having that, if you had it before, be willing to have it changed with compromise. You got to compromise. You don't have to change everything, but you got to learn to compromise.
Yeah.
And if you weren't doing that all before, and then boom, it shouldn't be like an instant switch where everything the other person says goes. And that goes for men and the women in the relationship. Like, oh, she did this, well, all I got to stop. Like, no. I mean, when you start living together, I don't think everything should change, in my opinion, but some things are gonna have to. Like, it's inevitable.
Right. What are some things that I think let's give some examples. Like, I guess the obvious is, I mean, if you out here in the streets, you know what I'm saying? You out here in the streets.
It's the streets. It no longer belongs to them.
I was never really out there like that. I think it's just me wanting to actually get out there and get out of my shell. That was the change for me, just to like get out there with other people.
You know what? You don't really think about that when people say change, like change what you were, how you were. You always think about, I mean, does that you change how you were? Were you a bad boy? Were you a player? Were you out here with different women? Sometimes it's your temperament. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be a person who I've always done this a certain way. Like the toilet tissue roll over, not under, and that's it. Like if I see it under, it's up. Every time I see you roll, got it sitting under, I'm bringing it up every time. You know what I'm saying? Like that, your temperament has to change, and you gotta like start being a little bit more lenient on things that she doesn't do things the way I do anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you can't expect people to be you.
Yeah, your communication has to change. So that same thing. Like, I mean, even if that is your trigger, like, you have to then be able to voice, that issue that you have in a way that doesn't cause something minor to become something major. The way you're saying stuff, the ability to actually say it from you to that person, you got to be able to do that, have that comfort level to say whatever it is. So yeah, like that's huge. Like, you're right. I think typically the focus is like, oh, it went from sinner to saint when it came to get married. It's like, well, no, it came from, being by yourself and being a single individual to now merging two different lives who have different backgrounds, different stories, different experiences, different trauma, and merging them into one and allowing them to be cohesive to achieve common goals down the road. So it's like, it's like anything, you mix two things together. I mean, ideally, the closer they are, the more compatible, but that's not always the case. You see marriages with two completely different types of people work. And so you just have to be willing, like Jimmy said, compromise, be willing to give up some things, probably put some of your, I definitely want to say goals, but, put some of your major ideas, maybe aside a little bit, or reconfigure them a little bit to consider your spouse. And then from there, you got to go forward. But,
yeah,
it's beautiful when you get it right. it's a high ass miss if you don't. So
you never want to feel like you compromise who you are and like what you got. Like you said, I wouldn't want to put my goals off or like completely cut them off unless my track has changed, because your mindset can change too, and maybe that goal isn't really a goal anymore. It could be a step and
perspective.
So I was gonna to the words right in my mind. Your perspective does change. So like being single, you know what I'm saying? I had aspirations of acting. You know what I'm saying? I did stage, I did a little film, and that was my pursuit. But I got married, and between married, I got life happening. You know what I'm saying? You just don't jump right into acting. You gotta work up to that. But then you want to work on a relationship and start a family at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not putting acting isn't on hold. It's on hold. I mean, that's still gonna be a thing. I'm writing scripts.
But it's not a way.
I still got time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm still in my prime.
You like Kevin off of This Is It. I got you.
For a while. But yeah, I mean, so I know one of the questions earlier was like, how do you prepare for marriage? And I mean, it may not be the, I guess, ideal answer people want, but it's honestly dating. Like, you know what I'm saying? Dating other people, because that essentially is kind of how you learn to interact with other people. You may not live with that person, but you will go over their house a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and see how they work and be able to see somebody who's not you know what I'm saying? Because it's real hard, I feel like, to come from living completely by yourself to living with somebody else, because I know I live by myself. One of the best things about it, if something moved, I moved it. Nobody else did. If I want to go look at something, I knew where the hell it was at because I'm the one who moved it, you know what I'm saying? So even small stuff like that, like if you used to, okay, I put this up a certain way, and now you're gonna live with somebody else, and they put up another way, which is not bad. It's just not how you did it. And
it grinds your gears, man.
Right, it grinds your gears. But you also, one of the big things I feel like being in a relationship is it's not about what you say sometimes, it's about how you say it. You know what I mean? And that's a small thing to a lot of people, but sometimes it's literally, you can say something with an endearing voice, like, hey, you know, this was done this way, and particularly I like to do it this way sometimes, and this is why. And you're gonna do a lot more explaining. Sorry, some people are like, I don't like to explain myself. Sometimes you're gonna have to, bro, to make it make sense for your, significant other. You just, well, I'm gonna do it because it makes sense to me. I see you later. That lock may be changed by the time you come back. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that you are willing to, you know what I'm saying? I think I said last time we were on here, compromise is a huge, huge thing, huge. But at the same time, don't compromise yourself, like I think a lot of you guys have said. So you can't just turn into a shadow of your former self because now you're living with someone. Right. You got to just find a way to make it work. And it's never going to be perfect, ever. It's going to be good, but it's not going to be perfect. So I think you just kind of got to get to the bottom of that.
I don't want perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because perfect, if it's perfect, how do you grow? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got a cap.
As an individual, you at perfect, there's nothing else to do. Yeah. That means you as an individual and as a couple, y'all have done everything y'all needed to do, and you're where you needed to be right there. You can die and be happy and content with how your life is going. I don't think anyone's ever gonna be content with their lives. But like the point, I always say, I used to think that you had to find compatibility in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as like preparation, I had to be somebody. If I'm going to prepare myself, I wanted to be well-rounded so that I can interact and have options. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to have a one track. You know, I did try to prepare for marriage. I knew how I was, and like you said, Will, dating people, you kind of learn how you react to certain things. And sometimes, like, all right, my reaction to this wasn't good, so I won't take this into the next relationship. And then, is it important to have compatibility with the person you're with? And you kind of learn that, I don't think any relationship prior to this one, even this one, we were all similar. Like, I think all my relationships were opposites. So I'm trained. I'm ready for this. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think you should find compatibility. I think you should find a medium where I want to do this, and you don't give me a hard time because I want to do a certain thing, because you don't typically or necessarily agree with it. You know what I'm saying? And there's an understanding there. You know, you're not mad about it. And then the same thing, I know, like I want to be home. I don't want to go nowhere. I'm a homebody. This is it. And sometimes she got to get out. They just left and went to the mall. You know, it's early. Nobody's there. They masked up. It's cool. But just to get out of the house because she don't want to be in the house. And I got to understand that. I can't say, you know what, I don't want you to go to the mall because X, Y, Z, or whatever my reasons may be. I know she got to get out. And why you don't want to stay home like me? You know what I'm saying? I can't expect her to do that. So there's a medium there, and it keeps the relationship balanced.
Yeah. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes I feel like you know what I'm saying, if you're a homebody, it's sometimes that you have your wife, where it's like, Carter, take your ass out the house. It's like, let's go do something real quick.
She always
once you get out, right. And once you get out though, you're like, bro, I'm having a good time with my family. Yeah. Like, this is cool. Because you need somebody who's gonna push you. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people don't have to talk about. Some people are set in their ways. They don't like to be wrong. Yeah. You're gonna be wrong. And you're gonna have to admit that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Do I admit that all the time? No, I don't. But I should. You know, it'll be a lot better. I feel like things go a whole lot smoother instead of just, why couldn't she just do it my way? No, you was wrong, and you need to, you know what I'm saying, admit to it. So when she's wrong, she can also do it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give each other space to be wrong. Essentially, is what it is.
Let me ask y'all this. If y'all have like a compromise that you want to make, you have a complaint, do you text it or do you call her?
I wait till we're in person.
I'll say call her in person.
Because even calling, depending on the urgency of the situation, like nothing's that urgent or nothing's too important for me to choose a text first. Because the time I take to text it, I could wait till she get home and say, hey, and usually texting is in the moment. And in the moment, it might be something you're upset about, and that's how you're gonna come off in your text, and that's how she's gonna receive it. Or there's always a time and a place. She could be in a high pressure situation at work, and then you text her something that's, you know, confrontational. Her feelings on it, reading it, is how she's gonna perceive it. So I would wait until I always wait till you get in person, and where I can give you my tone, you can see my face, my facial expressions, and I can see your reaction to what I'm saying, your body language.
Read the room.
So I can now, all right, maybe I'm making her uncomfortable. Let me bring it back and say, hey, look, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I'm not getting on you, but at the same time, this is something I needed to address because it made me upset. Something like that. I'm gonna ask you this. Before I get into the topic I was gonna say about the lady in the podcast, there was a guy who said he's married to his wife. They've been together for, you know, X amount of years. It was a long period of time. They've been married for about 2 or 3 years. But she always compares him to her dad. Like, her dad can fix cars. He could change out a transmission. He cuts the grass. He can fix things. He's handy. And his dad also gives money, you know, and, you know, his question was, who should he address? Should he address the dad or should he address his wife? Because it makes him uncomfortable when she's comparing him, and she's also getting frustrated because he doesn't live up to that standard that her dad is bringing. So
that's a wife issue. That's a wife issue. Easy. I mean, because, you know, although everyone loves to say you're not married to the spouse's family, it's not true, because you definitely are. You marry into the family. Like, literally, the idea is that you become one. So it's no longer his or hers. It's ours. It's our. It's now all our family. But, you know, when you talk about that is, you know, and Nora's gonna have this issue with you, Cardell. So go ahead and I'm telling you what you're gonna do in the future, right? But, you know, because that's what you ideally what you want. Like a girl, you know, a young lady first learns love and what a man should do from her dad. Jimmy, same thing. James, same thing. Jordan, same thing. You know, Juan, same thing. When they see their dad, they should see, man, this is, you know, the epitome of a black man. This is how he loved my mom. This is what I would want. You know, are there going to be some things there maybe that you know, they don't do right? We all don't do right. Sure, but they're gonna say, my dad did this. This was the expectation. This is what I received, all 25, 26, 27, 23 years of my life before I got married. So that's conditioning. That's what they know to be love. That's what they've seen to be love, and that's what they understand. But what they then have to realize is that, part of the thing with marriage that we sometimes hear and don't hear is that when you get married, you leave from your mother and father, you cling to your spouse. Yeah. So it's like, although that was the standard that was set there, you agreed and decided that this would be the person that you married. And so I'm sure there's some things, some compromise where you could say, hey, look, so-and-so, I'm just not good in those areas. I'm willing to learn, but it's more, efficient of me to spend that money or to do this and get a handyman or get somebody who can fix cars, a mechanic, than me trying to be out here and breaking stuff and messing something up.
Right.
Now, your dad keep giving you money. It's like, if we're okay with that, okay, that's one thing. If we're okay with that. If we are not, then we need to say, look, we're going to pause on that. We appreciate it. Put it aside for, our grandkids. Put it aside for our vacation or something. Maybe put it a gift. Start a scholarship in our name, something. I mean, but you have to have that conversation with each other, get on the same page, because it seems like it's just, they're not. And then the daughter can go and address it, or both of y'all can sit down with the dad and address it. But you got to start with your wife first, because that's, in essence, that's where the issue is. Because it's like, you could say something to the dad, but that probably just be like, well, look, that's my daughter.
Right. And I was thinking, like, why even like have the thought to say, should I go to her daddy and say, hey, you need to stop being so proficient at what you did
your life, like what you were born, like what you have been designed to do as a parent. Like that's what he's done. Like, nah.
Why were you so good to her growing up? Now I can't live up to it.
Okay, were they married? I don't know if I missed that part. Were they married or are they dating?
They married.
So my thing is, if they're married, she had to have known this is how he was while they were dating. So
right.
why is this becoming just now when we're married? You thought it was going to automatically get more money, or you thought it was automatically going to be able to fix a car? We've been dating for how many years, and I ain't touched that car once, and now you mad? But you still decided to marry me. So who fault is it really? You know what I'm saying? And another thing you got to take into account, her dad, just how in my mind, he's probably 50 years old or something like that, an older gentleman. Back in the day, that was kind of the standard. You know what I'm saying? The wife would do such and such. I'm providing for my family. I'm out here. I got to fix this. I ain't taking to nobody else. Maybe most of y'all dads, I know my dad had me up at like 7 o'clock in the morning on weekends trying to fix a lawnmower. Well, this man had enough money to go get another one, but that's what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they handled business back then. It was like, hey, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to know how to fix it. I feel, less of a man if I can't fix it. Whereas that nowadays, it's like, nah, bro, it's somebody at the street that can fix that. Why the hell I'm going to get under that car to fix the oil and somebody do it for $30? Nah. Or, certain situations. So I feel like that is definitely a wife problem because she set herself up for failure at that point. You know what I'm saying? The guy didn't come in a relationship, oh, I fixed your car, I did all this, here goes some bread, and then stop doing it. He never did it. And if that's what you were looking for, then you should have set your eyes on somebody who was guaranteed to do that. Will I try to do it? Sure. But like Denzell said, I'm gonna get out there and break something. Now the DIY, I gotta go take it to somebody else because it's broke. So that really doesn't make any sense,
And I gotta spend that money.
You should have married Mr. Willie Earl.
I gotta spend that money now that you was expecting me to give you.
Exactly. So it's just like it's a nobody wins in that, you know what I'm saying, that side. Because now the dad almost seems like I won't say a villain, but an obstacle in that relationship because he's doing what he's supposed to do. The wife has these stupid high expectations for something that he never said he was going to be able to meet anyway. Right. And then, you know what I'm saying, the wife is sitting there mad and, oh man, I wish I could find me somebody who can do that. You know what I'm saying? So a bit of resentment is forming in there as well. So that just seems like an entire plan for failure from the jump.
I just, and that really kind of just takes me into the main topic that I was talking about. You kind of mentioned it a little bit when you said, that's her dad took care of certain things and then mom took care of other things. The podcast, the little snippet I heard, I didn't hear the entire podcast or the entire clip. But like I said, the part that I did hear, I didn't really agree. The lady said that, in preparation for marriage, she was a wife before she became a wife. And she explained what that meant was, she said, living alone as a single woman, you know what I'm saying? I cooked, I cleaned, and I took care of the household. You know, I took care of my household. And that was, and, you know, that's her. And then she said her husband, the word she used was benefactor. I don't think it was the right word. He's a beneficiary of her, you know, learning how to be domestic in the household. I don't know if it's a benefactor. Benefactor means he put some money in there and he invested into that. But the thing is, she said, yeah, my husband, he came along and he became, I'm gonna say the real word, the beneficiary of me basically training how to be a wife. And I'm gonna say this though, I acknowledge her identifying herself as a wife in the way that she sees. That's her perspective. But I don't think cooking and cleaning and taking care of the household is the identity of a wife. I also don't think that you can be a wife or say you're a wife before you become a wife. The definition of wife is a woman who marries a spouse.
I want to say, be careful.
By definition.
Yeah.
Be careful. Tread lightly.
A spouse. A woman who marries a spouse. That is a wife. So there's nothing in that says the role of the wife is cooking, cleaning. Because what was the man doing before that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like all these years, I'm sitting back like, dang, I want something to eat, but you know what I'm saying? I gotta wait for my a wife to eat.
Right. Only I was married. I could eat today. Damn.
My house is dirty. Like, what's happening? I need a wife. You know what I'm saying? What was I doing before I got married? You know what I'm saying? So why wouldn't I take what I've learned living on my own into the marriage? That doesn't mean I'm taking on your role as the wife, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever you consider. And then if the role of the wife or the traditional role of the wife is to cook and clean, what's the role of the man? And that goes back to the other scenario, fixing, being handy, and, you know, providing money. You know what I'm saying? Being the financial benefactor in this scenario. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what people's idea? What was your idea of marriage before you got married? Did you think there was a role for the man and a role for the woman too?
I think so. I mean, I think naturally, like you automatically see like what your parents did, kind of going back to the last answer. And like, and unless it's just broken, and you're like, okay, that's what it's supposed to happen, you know? So whatever kind of, in essence, like your parents did, is kind of what you think is at least a blueprint. Like maybe you say, I adapt this, I change this, or what have you. And so for me, yeah, I saw my parents and I was like, okay, yeah, this is how we gonna do it. You know, do. You know, but one of the things I quickly had to realize once I got married was, you know, my mom was a teacher. So my mom got something to break. So when I was off, she was off. So we could go travel and we could go do these things. Like I didn't have to worry about, you know, being at a whole bunch of summer camps if I didn't really want to, or having to go to daycare or anything like that. You know, whereas in my situation, I was like, I no summer break. like she's lucky to get a couple weeks off during the year. So, you know, and for me, I don't have a summer break, you know, either. So I'm rolling. So with that, you know, how my life looked as a kid doesn't necessarily match what my life looks like now as a married adult. And so I think it's just a matter of, you know, you're not going to see marriage the same way before you get married as you do once you're married. Because again, that word we talked about before, perspective, is going to change. And I remember having a conversation with a friend of ours, and you know, she made some comments, and I think it was like marriage was it's not an achievement, but it's a blessing, something like that. And I could be paraphrasing it wrong. And I was like, wait, why would you say it's one and not the other? And it had something to do with you know, the rate at which women get married. And I was like, nah, I think you can't separate the two. I was like, it's definitely an achievement, because I mean, look at how many people don't do it. But you know, it's definitely a blessing as well because of everything that comes with it. And so I was like, you know, I think the reason that you feel this way is because you're not married. I was like, now once you're in that opportunity, in that space to have somebody propose to you and get engaged, plan a wedding, and go through all that process, and then actually be married and stay married, I think that you will change your mind. But again, like I said, it's all in perspective. But I think your perspective is definitely going to change. It has to, because it's just, you don't understand. You got to realize, like, when you talk about getting married, like, for the most part, at least none of us have ever been married before. So when we got married, all we knew was from books, from therapy sessions, from TV, from our folks. I mean, from our now spouses. That's all we knew about marriage. So, of course, like, once you got in it and you have to live it every day, and you have to do it, and you have to communicate, and you have to share your space, and you have to compromise, all those things we talked about before, it's going to be different than what we initially, probably thought. We're like, man, shoot, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, boom, blah, blah, and it's like, no, nah, bro, you're not gonna do that. You're not just gonna sit there and play games all day. You ain't gonna be on 2K on your PS5. Like, no, you got to go to work. You got to make sure your bills are paid.
A little jaded from that, bro. You sound like you from.
I have probably played it 4 times since I got it, so I'm a bit salty. But I mean, and all though, like, you buy something like, man, I'm about to do this. Like, no, you're not. Like, you have responsibilities, you have duties that you have to do first, and then if you have time left, then you can do those other things. But yeah, I mean, I think for anyone to say that they knew exactly what they were getting into, or had the same exact idea or vision of marriage before, I would have a hard time believing it. I don't call him a liar, but I'm just saying I would have a hard time. But
yeah, that's different, man. It's different for sure. I mean, it's just, even if it's from the decision that you make and you used to, hey, I'm gonna go cop this couch or something like that. If you live by yourself, you're gonna buy the couch. But if you live with somebody else, you better not come in this damn house with something that we ain't both agree on, that we both got to sit on, that's community property. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just even that aspect, because some people are very strong-willed to where, I know I'm making the right decision. This is it. It may not be it. Or even if it is for you, it's not for them. And if it's not for both of y'all, then that couch is going to be a point of contention for the rest of, you know what I'm saying, y'all marriage, or as long as it's there. So you might as well just go ahead and be able to see both sides. We'll try to anyway. Like you said, the woman and I feel like you can be a wife by yourself, but at the same time, you're not getting the full wife experience. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not having that back and forth, that tug and pull, somebody else there to make you better. You know what I'm saying? Because essentially in a marriage, if it does what it's supposed to do, that person is going to help you become a better person in different aspects that you didn't even know you needed help with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you're by yourself, that's almost impossible to do. Because I think we talked about when I was here last time, some people get out of relationships and be like, I need to work on myself by myself. But if you work on yourself by yourself, then you kind of thinking like, I knew I was right the whole time. That person didn't know what the hell they was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because you're the one coaching yourself. So you're going to be like, yeah, no, I was perfectly rational in that, versus somebody else calling you out on your BS. And you have to be like, you know what? Now that I think about it this way, it doesn't make any sense. So I do feel like you can't be a full-fledged wife by yourself. You do have to be married, or, intertwined with somebody else to be able to do that.
I'm gonna say this, because we are Real Husbands of CofC is an all-inclusive platform.
Correct.
There is a term called polygamy. That's where you can legally be married to yourself. You can have a sologamous relationship. I think Maya.
Not a marriage.
Huh?
So you can have a relationship, but
no. You could legally, Maya, the singer, Maya.
Sure, yeah.
She's married to herself. I got questions.
So who's the beneficiary if she dies? Herself?
Her kids? She ain't got no kids, does she? I mean, she probably just put in a will, just give it to somebody. I don't
know. The real question is, if you decide to sleep with somebody else, are you committing adultery?
Get out. Yeah.
It depends if y'all agreed to it. You know what I'm saying? You got the little angels on each shoulder. If they both agreed, then you straight. But if one's like, nah, bro, and then you still do it, then you a cheater.
So it's an open marriage.
Essentially, yeah, it's
I
open,
guess,
bro.
Yeah.
Open.
Yeah.
If you agree, you know what I'm saying? If you get agreement, then I feel like you good.
All right. So before you introduce the marrying yourself, right?
Yeah.
What was gonna say about her feeling like she's a wife beforehand? Who's to say she's ready to have those tough conversations?
Ooh.
Because at the time, she was single. You can't have a tough conversation by yourself and stay with that person. Because a tough conversation doesn't mean you about to break up.
Right.
Tough conversation doesn't say I get to walk away. So if you're single and you feel like that, if your spouse, make sure I say spouse, if your spouse comes to you with a problem and it's a difficult problem and it can't just be solved with 2 or 3 words or a minute or 2 conversation, who's to say she's not gonna get up and walk out saying, I've been a wife before this, I don't need all this other stuff. So that's where I was coming from with it. I think the engagement part, going back to your initial question, what prepared you for marriage, is the engagement part. So we were engaged for 2 years, and during that time, we developed plans. What are you going to do with life? What are you going to do with life? What are we doing together? How are we going to build this? How are we going to build that? That came with the engagement part. That was 2 years worth of planning.
Yeah.
And it wasn't with other people. We didn't bring in other people in the relationship. It was just me and her just sitting down trying to figure out what we're about to do.
Yeah.
So that helped me prepare. And for anybody else who felt like they were living this life that they had to transition into, that engagement part would do well, especially if you try to get engaged too fast, or you get married too. You have that time with each other, living from by yourself to being full-fledged married in a matter of months. Sometimes it'll work out. I'm not saying it can't, but it becomes difficult.
It does. And I think what used to get me when you said the engagement is where you start to prepare. I would say you even start before then. You know how some people say, it's the night before your wedding, and they say, it's your last night as a free man, you might as well live it up, right? But my last night as a free man was 6 years ago, or at the time it was 2 years ago. Like, I can't say, all right, you know what? I'm gonna start acting like I'm about to get married tomorrow.
Today, yeah.
Because this is last night. I don't have a spouse, but we've been together for 2 years prior to getting married. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, we had an 18-month engagement. So that was a very long engagement. Very excruciating. And in those 18 months, it's the wedding planning. And that's where I think the wedding planning period is kind of where you start to see what you're getting into. It's like,
absolutely.
You're very type A, and I'm just kind of, let it happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to a T. Everything has to be to a T. So learning that about her, it ain't always a bad thing. You just know how you got to communicate. And speaking of knowing how to communicate, going back to the guy who wasn't handy and his wife was getting frustrated with him, it is a conversation that she needed to have, and he needed to remind her of why they got married. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't marry me because I was handy. You know what I'm saying? You didn't marry me because I was well off and I was giving you money. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason you married me, and you need to stick to that reason. And then, I'll feel more comfortable going at the pace that I'm going right now. And as I'm growing, I ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? You can YouTube stuff and learn how to fix things on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I changed plenty alternators looking at YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? They tell you the tools to buy, what to remove first, and how to do everything. And then you do it a few times. And you also have to have a car that always used to break down. I tell you what, my muffler fell off in the middle of the street.
What?
My muffler fell off.
How that happened?
Bro, I hit a bump or something, and then all I heard was it dragging. And then I was like, did I run something over? And then I'm looking in the rear view, and then I heard boom, 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 and then I see my muffler. I was on the cross. I was on the cross time.
I mean, but at the same time, all right, so I don't fix cars, right? My car broke. I call Shakira's brother. I don't have a problem with calling other people to say, hey, I don't know how to do something.
Yeah.
So does it become a pride thing, an ego thing, or was she coming at him wrong? Was she coming at him like, yo, I'm gonna demean you, I'm gonna belittle you because you can't do?
Yep.
Or if my car is broke, like, hey, can we just call my dad because he knows how to fix it? No, don't call him because you keep comparing me to XYZ and I'm tired of that. But I know if my car break, hey, Ray, I need some help. Because I'm about to hop under a hood.
Yeah.
Because then I gotta really call him and the tow truck and pull it somewhere else.
Yeah. That's true statement.
So, the ego thing, because I can put my pride to the side for something that'll help my family. And I think you said in one of your podcasts,
can't feed your ego and your family at the same time.
There you go. You can't do it. So and I think about that every time. It's like, yo, I don't want to do this, but at the same time, it's like I got to put that to the side. It's not about me. So if she was coming at him the wrong way, maybe it's the perspective of the conversation. It's like you said, you want to do things in person and you want to have that conversation. The whole giving money part, bro, give her money. Because I know where my money's going at. I know her. If you know your spouse well enough to know that what you bringing in and what your money is going towards isn't going to say, yo, go ahead, do that. Because otherwise I got to get 2-3 jobs and I'm tired already.
One is enough.
Go ahead, give her the money. Go ahead.
And I wonder, is she asking for money or is it just she's expecting to get money? You know what I'm saying? And what's
just probably the expectation of getting money.
Right.
Like, dad probably like, here's $200. Go buy yourself something.
No, it ain't. I don't think it was like. Now it would have been different. He was like, her dad is giving money to help pay for bills. Now that's different. That to me says y'all not really prioritizing your lifestyle. You know, you I mean, live within your means. You know what I'm saying? Then you won't have to be asking for help. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm not eager to buy a house. You know what I'm saying? I think people think there's a time frame in which you have to have these things. Like, I'm supposed to be married by this time. Everybody my age is buying houses and they got houses. I don't feel that pressure to buy a house. You know what I'm saying?
That's training though. That's training though, Cardell. I think that's like, you got to realize, like, society, our parents even included, have like coached us into when we should be doing certain things, because that's what they were told when they had, were young or when they were growing up. So it's like, it's always been a societal pressure. I think there always will be a societal pressure. And so with that, they're like, okay, you should be getting married this time. Like, look at all of your influencers, look at all of your just like everything from A to Z, everything's telling you in essence when you should or should not be doing something, point blank period. And so I think with that comes, of course, marriage, when they have kids, when to, get a dog, even when to buy a house, when to change jobs, when to get a job. Like, everything is like structured on a timeline because it's all supposed to fit the American dream, the American plan. Mm-hmm. And then if you're not following that, then you're a failure. You're not doing it the right way. Then you're getting questioned about, oh, why haven't you had kids yet? Why aren't you married yet? You question when y'all gonna get a house. You question why you still at that same job. So it's all about, it's brainwashing. And so many of us still follow it. So many of us still get those questions, but that's what it is. But you're right. Like, you can't give way to those pressures, because if you do, then you're forever gonna be stuck in that hamster wheel, right? You're always gonna be chasing after it and trying to get to that next thing. But that's a personal thing. Like, either you are going to get off of it or you're gonna stay on it and be run ragged.
I think my first realization with that, being on a timeline like everybody else, was when I went to get my master's degree. So, all right, you get your undergrad, and then immediately after a year, you can wait a year, but after that, you go right back to school. So I graduated CofC the first time, 2011. I graduated CFC the second time, 2018. Because at the time, it wasn't for me. So you just gotta realize like some things just aren't for you, as you said. It's not for you.
Right.
It's not your time. So when I still got it in the tube, I think Andre mentioned that on Facebook the other day. So my master's degree is still in this tube right here because I feel like I shouldn't even put it up yet. I got one more degree to go, and I'll fill up this wall. But it just wasn't for me. The timing wasn't right. I was about to get married. Everything was looking right personally. Introducing something else to the life, it just wasn't for me at the time. And I was okay with that. The world didn't stop. Nothing blew up.
You hit that on the head. You hit that on the head, bro. Because when I got to CFC, I was 22 years old coming into CFC. Like I had a 5-year span where I wasn't really doing nothing but working. You know what I'm saying? I graduated high school in 2005. I moved into, I was working at a steel mill. I was 17 years old, bro. I was doing good. You know what I'm saying? I was still living with my mom. I ain't had no bills. Everything I was making, I was stacking up. So by the time I got to CFC, I had already lived. You know what I'm saying? Like I had already been spending my own money, and I had, seen money and seen what type of money I was making versus the money that I was, being told I was gonna make. And then you researching jobs and careers, like this ain't close. This is not close to what I was doing, for the last 5 years. But people telling me I need to be at school and I need to get a degree. Ever since I graduated, they telling you these things. Like you said, Moton, just kind of what you're being coached to do. By the time, by this time, you need to be about graduating from college and finding a wife. And then y'all need to be having some kids. It's gonna be too late for you. And I'm just like, man, I'm like, why can't I have my own timeline? You know what I'm saying? Like, do things. Yeah. I didn't really want to go to school, man. I had a counseling session at CofC, and sitting there, she asking me about my future and things I want to do, and she dead in my face, bro. She said, "Why are you here?" And not that you not supposed to be here or you can't be here. It's just like the things you want to do don't have anything to do with school.
Yeah.
So, are you here because somebody told you had to be? And that's exactly where I was like, how did you pick? You pinpoint. That's it. They told me I had to be here, so I'm here. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's how I felt.
Marshawn, I mean, but I think about it like that. You were taught that from as soon as you can walk, because everybody's saying like, the expectations are being put on you, the directions are being given. I mean, and part of it is because of course we don't know any better as kids, so we need that direction, that guidance. But like at the same time, they're like, oh, this person's gonna be a scientist, this person's gonna be a doctor, this person is gonna be, a singer, NFL player. And then a lot of times, a lot of the decisions that we end up making in our older and adult lives are based on the fact that we've been pushed into this thing our whole lives. You see people happen all the time, like where this person, went and grinded, was the ideal student, did everything. They went and became, neuroscientists or whatever. But it's never really what they wanted to do, and they never took the time to explore. So they're burnt out, they hate their job, they're super stressed, they got all this stuff going on. They start turning to all kinds of alternative sources, or it's like they quit midstream and then they go start doing what they want to do, and then everybody looks at them crazy, like, oh my gosh, you left $300,000 a year, and now you want to go talking about you want to be a singer, like. Yes, because that's what I want to do the whole time. Y'all put me in this box, and I just was never, brave enough or strong enough, or I never realized to break away from, And so it's just you see it all the time, but that's what happens when we stay on that wheel, man. Sometimes we get roped into stuff that we're not ready for, we don't want to do, that we're not passionate about, and then, it just you find yourself somewhere else.
And that's where you start to like have regrets and resentment.
Yeah.
And the resentment is in you for allowing yourself to fall into that cycle. It's like, dang, now I'm stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm with you, and then you taking it out on the person that you're with, or the people you like, and they ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, well, marriage too. You like the whole marriage itself. Like you get rushed in, pushing to marrying somebody that your parents like, or your parents think would be a good match for you because they come from a good family, or they got money, whatever. And it's like you ain't want to marry him. So now you in this relationship where it's abusive, physically, mentally, financially. You're in this marriage, and it's like
it looks good on paper.
Wait a minute. Yeah, like they're great together. They have the Obama image. It's like, but wait a minute, do they have the Obama marriage? Do they have the Obama love and relationship? You know what I'm saying? Like, it looks good on the outside. Is it good on the inside?